All right, guys, let's get started. Welcome back, everybody, to another bourbon show. Tonight, we are going to be resolving an issue that we did not realize was an issue from Ryan. Ryan, how long have you been in the liquor business?
Like 7 or 8 years now. A
Seven
while.
or 8 years. And how long have you been drinking alcohol?
Probably for about 15,
Okay. And that puts you're what, 30 or 31?
30.
30. Drinking 15 years in the business for 7. And the motherfucker has never drank Elijah Craig's small batch. How is that possible, Ryan?
I'm stupid.
Well, yeah, that's true.
You, I drink so much like random stuff. It just those things that I just never have tried.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's okay. We're fixing it tonight. We're fixing it. So Elijah Craig small batch, it is, in my opinion, on the Rushmore of bourbon. And let's see here. The mash bill, I saw it earlier. Let me try to find it again. It's supposedly 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley. It's a Heaven Hill product. It is the leader of the Heaven Hill line. They easily sell more of this than any. It's their flagship. Um, but before we 94 proof. Yeah, 94 proof. Aged anywhere from 8 to 12 years. All of the small batch used to carry a 12-year age statement on it. But with them selling so much more recently, they had to take away that age statement completely. But all of it is aged between 8 and 12 years. Super easy to find. You can find it pretty much anywhere you want, any sort of a liquor store, family owned. Like, you're not going to find it at many like legit gas station places where they've got Jack and Jim and whatnot. But if it's any sort of a liquor store, you're going to be able to find it no problem. Should be in the $30 to $35 range. You can find it $28 every now and then, but I'd say 30 to 32 is more normal. But before we do anything else, Steven, what do you think of that label?
Well, I rated the Elijah Craig when we were on the toasted barrel version, and I can't remember what I gave it. So this is another instance like Old Elk where I'm looking at it fresh, basically. And I think that as far as bottles go, overall bottles, it's one of my favorite bottles on the market just because it's it's easy to hold, feels good in the hand, and most importantly, has like a really nice cork that's easy to take out. And it has, like we talked about with Legent, it has the wide mouth so that it pours really easily and nicely. All that stuff is good. The label itself, I think, is super easy to read and informational, but it's difficult to tell them apart on the shelf. That's what I said before, and that's what I'll say again. From a distance, it's obviously very legible. You can read it, the small batches there, or barrel proof or toasted barrel. You can see all that stuff pretty easily, but I just wish it stood out a little bit more. Dan, I'm sure we'll get to this in a minute, but you're drinking a pick of this, actually. And that pick, it doesn't look a whole lot different than mine, which is not a pick. You have to be looking for that. I mean, I know there maybe on some there's a label on the back or something, but to me that doesn't stand out enough either. All of it is just kind of contributes to an overall blandness on that label, and I'm going to give it, I think, a 3 out of 10 for that reason. So pretty harsh for the label, but again, I'm just looking at the label standpoint. I don't think it looks bad. I just think that its curb appeal is not that great, and I think it's probably one of the reasons why Ryan passed over it so many times when he was earlier on in bourbon.
Okay. Yeah, so the difference really between so there's a full proof, there's a rye, there's the toasted barrel, and there's the regular small batch. Small batch is maroon, full proof is black, toasted barrel is blue, rye is green. So yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said. I just wanted to clarify that that's really the only way from a distance to know the difference is to know the color schemes. And yeah, really, as far as like this one being a barrel pick, the difference here is that it says single barrel selected by Lebanon Wine and Spirits in Glenmark BP in Illinois. It says the serial number of the barrel itself, and then which rickhouse the barrel was selected from and which floor it came from that rickhouse. So
I want to say this too. Some of my accounts, they did like a big barrel pick program at a pretty big grocery chain up here. And nobody could really tell it was a barrel pick program because it's very hard to distinguish that it is a barrel pick, you know, like Steven was saying. So I saw, and it's nothing to do with the juice not being good, but that those displays were up a while. And I think for the sole reason that people didn't know. So I think maybe even something you could do maybe like on the side or any way to distinguish it a little different. Yeah, like that. Like in this case, for my case, that wasn't there.
yeah.
But Steven does not like Heaven Hill bottles, it seems like.
It does kind of seem that way.
I think there's a trend here.
Yeah. Maybe we have a trend emerging. I don't know. I just call them like I see them.
Trying to
Mellow corn.
Mellow Corn, Old Overholt, Rittenhouse. You like the Rittenhouse label, if I remember.
The Rittenhouse was
correctly,
okay, yeah.
Trying to think of what other.
And as a person, he loves them. But I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, either this is going to be terrible for them, or they have sold more bottles in the past month or two that they ever have in the history of Rittenhouse.
I will say that it has turned looking any information up about Rittenhouse Rye, like online, into it has become challenging to like, hey, what's the mash bill of Rittenhouse? Rittenhouse mash bill. And like everything is Kyle Rittenhouse. It's like, God damn it, I don't give a shit about that little shit. All I care about is fucking whiskey. So
it really put a damper on me. I was trying to launch a Charles Manson whiskey this past month. And not that they're comparable. Don't email us. We're here to talk about bourbon.
So I did I did appreciate
Osama bin Laden's Scotch whiskey didn't make it. I was an early investor in that.
Which is a good name for a Scotch too. You got to admit.
So I want to go back to something you said when you were talking about the label, Steven. You really wanted to focus a lot on the cork. Are you a big fan of corks that are easy to pull out? You like big corks?
I think that, to me, I guess recently I've been drinking a lot of the Maker's 46 cask strength.
Yeah.
And I think that is like the biggest pain in the ass. Something about their corks, it's like, which I know is the synthetic, is that it's such a pain to close that. And because that like top lip is like, wants to be a twist on so bad.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, it's like a finger crusher. And you got to be real careful putting it back.
Okay.
So I appreciate being able to just pull something off the shelf, whether it's like, I've been drinking like High West products a lot recently. High West or Elijah Craig, you just pull off the shelf and you can be pouring and drinking in seconds and then put it back easily, not have to think about it. I don't get why this is such a big dilemma, it seems like, in the whiskey world right now.
If they just switch over to goddamn screw-on caps.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I didn't want to get you on your soapbox, so I wasn't even going there, but yeah.
I do love that, like, just in the wood on the top. I do love that, though. It's cool.
Yeah, and it's like engraved. It's a cool cork. That's true. It is true.
If your topper is unique and interesting, it always gives you extra points with me. Like Old Elk, we mentioned that recently. But I don't know. It's so nice to have just something, just spend a little extra attention and make it look nice. We're gonna be interacting. Yeah, we're gonna be interfacing with it every time we want to drink it.
Yep.
So.
Yep, true story. All right, well, what do you say we break it open? Let's drink some.
Let's do it. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Now I'm gonna lay off some of the comments and let you guys lead the way, and then I'll talk about the barrel pick afterwards.
Okay.
All right, sounds good.
To me, this is a very light nose, but I love this one also, Dan. This to me is going to always be a staple of something I've got behind the bar. It's to me the key word here is balance. Like everything with this whiskey is so perfectly balanced. I think it's perfectly proofed. I think it's like to me every part of this is like the finish lasts just the right amount. It's all and I pick up for the nose, I guess I'll say I pick up like a perfect balance of vanilla, caramel, nod to Ryan, oak, and it's just a harmony of all the things that you kind of want and expect in a bourbon.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself, and I wouldn't have. So I'm glad you did. Uh, that's good, man. That vanilla and caramel, it's very. You get that, and then it's very oaky, and it's all balanced well. They just seem consistent across the board every single time.
Yeah. So this particular pick, I want to throw out there real quick that I think, and this is something that JT Aiken said whenever he joined us, we were both talking about the fact that Elijah Craig barrel proofs are some of the best barrel picks out there. Like, because they make so much of it, um, there are some really, really unique bottles out there. And so that's one of the reasons why I have so many different bottles of barrel picks on my shelf, is because if I see one, I'm going to grab it probably 8 out of 10 times. And if I try the first sip of it and it's delicious, then I will go back and grab a second bottle to make sure that I can hold on to it. But this particular one has a whole extra, like it's an extra honey type of a level of a sweetness to it. It's still got some caramel to it, but it's primarily honey, and that I really appreciated. So I did grab a second bottle of this one, but this one is my second. Like, so when this one's gone, it will be gone forever. But
Yeah, I think I get that on the palate. I get all that same stuff on the nose, but then I do get a little bit of honey note to it as well. It sounds much more pronounced in your pick, but it's definitely there. It's towards the back end, toward the back of the palate into the finish. And then, like I said, the finish and the hug on it is just about the perfect length, I think. Um, it really reminds me at this proof, I think it drinks something more like it's like maybe 104, 105 in a good way. And I think to me, in that way, I liken it something like Michter's, like a Michter's product. How they're able to get so much out of that proof, and like the difference is so vast in what you get here as opposed to a lot of other stuff at the same proof or at 80 proof or something like that. Our 5.0 being Jim Beam White Label, you see like how different it can be with not a huge difference in proof. But this is just such a full experience. Yeah.
I feel that Elijah Craig Small Batch is a far, far, far more superior drink than Buffalo Trace. Yes, there is a minor price difference between the suggested retail price of Buffalo Trace and Elijah Craig Small Batch, but it's like even if you found it right at SRP, it's like a $6 difference between Buffalo Trace and Elijah Craig Small Batch. But at SRP, I would take Elijah Craig Small Batch every single time over Buffalo Trace. And then you throw on top of it the fact that Buffalo Trace is so hard to find. And when you do, like, I saw a bottle of Buffalo Trace for $60 last week. $60 for a standard 750 milliliter bottle of just regular old Buffalo Trace. You throw that into the mix, and yes, please give me that bottle of Elijah Craig. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like bourbon wise, Buffalo Trace is one of those first ones, like introductory bourbons that you've heard about and you want to taste. And if you could find it for $23.99, then good for you. And don't buy it for 60 because the store's probably paying 15 or 16 bucks for it. But I feel like this is a little more sophisticated, even though it's only like $7 to $10 more. I just feel like they're they're in different classes a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I would pin this more of like, and I know this is like $6 or $7 more, but I feel like it's more of a competitor of a Eagle Rare just based on
Mhm.
taste and elegance and everything like that. So I just feel like it's in a different spot. It's hard for me to kind of compare the two.
Yeah. And you know what? You're actually right. It does compare more, not only SRP wise, but across the board with Eagle Rare. And I will take it a step further and say that I would take a standard Elijah Craig small batch over Eagle Rare.
It says they say on it first to char oak barrels. What does that mean? Are they saying that they're the first ones to start that process?
Elijah, okay, so how do you put this? So
Mine also
historically,
says the original drip daddy of bourbon.
so Elijah Craig,
Just wanted to say drip. I'm in a tracksuit. Come on.
so Elijah Craig was a Baptist preacher, and he holds the. There's not a whole lot of historical fact, like being able to pinpoint these as facts, but rumor has it that Elijah Craig, this Baptist preacher, went into. So he's born and raised in Virginia. Back then, Kentucky was Virginia. It was Kentucky County as part of Virginia. He went into the wilderness of Kentucky County, Virginia, and he was supposedly the first one to put whiskey into a charred barrel. And the charred barrel being a key component of making bourbon, he's kind of held as the father of bourbon. This is not his original recipe. We would not, if memory serves, we would not want to drink his original recipe because if memory serves, the charred barrels he was putting whiskey into were actually barrels that had previously been used for shipping fish, and that was one of the reasons why he charred the barrel, was to try to get rid of some of that fish flavor.
And Jefferson's Ocean is like, that's our thing, man.
Yeah.
We love fish. So I met the dumbest bitch last week. She was super nice. Like, she was extraordinarily nice.
Really?
But I,
Because the first sentence was you met a bitch.
but like dumb bitch, right? Like, just a dumbass. How about that? I
Yeah.
met the biggest dumbass lady the other day. So I'm in uh, a store on Tuesday, and we're bullshitting, and in walks this lady, and you could tell that she was not comfortable. And she's looking around, and she's like, I have really recently gotten super into bourbon. And I was like, wow, that's an original story. That hasn't happened to anybody in the last 5 years. And she's like, I'm really looking for Eagle Rare. And I'm just like, you fucking God, you're pissing me off. Because all she wanted was Eagle Rare, this, that, and the other. Right? Like all of the ones that everybody has a hard time finding. All of the ones that all the newbies think they just have to have. And the problem is that she really thought she knew a whole lot more about bourbon than she really knew about bourbon. Like, for example, she goes, yeah, I'm from the St. Louis side, but I've heard everybody talk about these stores. And I'm like, yeah, I'm the one that you're listening to that brought you here, right? So she says, I stopped by the Schnucks in Edwardsville, and their manager told me that he's getting 4 bottles of Pappy Van Winkle sometime this week, and 2 bottles of George T. Stagg. And I said, I don't think so. She goes, no, he said he's getting 4 bottles of Pappy Van Winkle and 2 bottles of George T. Stagg. And I said, but there's no George T. Stagg this year. Like they canceled it because the barrels didn't taste right. So are you sure he didn't say Weller or something else? In the meantime, I'm already thinking to myself, Schnucks got their Pappy Van Winkle like the week before, because I know they did. So anyway, she goes on to say that she's got a bottle of Blanton's and that she has not opened it yet and is not going to open it because she thinks the value of Blanton's is going to go up. And it's going to go up because, her words, Buffalo Trace is hurting for money right now. So they are diverting barrels of Blanton's to Buffalo Trace, the standard Buffalo Trace bottle, so that they can create more revenue now instead of bottling them as Blanton's. And I said, well, like, ignoring everything else, I said they can't be, because Buffalo Trace is mash bill 1, Blanton's is mash bill 2. She's like, no, they are bottling Blanton's, barrels that were dedicated to be Blanton's, as Buffalo Trace, because they are hurting so bad for money because they had a tornado a couple weeks ago. And I was like, wrong part of the state. And I just said, oh, I guess I must be mistaken. And I guess maybe Buffalo Trace bottles are from Mash Bill 1, just because I wanted to end the conversation.
And how many people in this woman's life do the exact same thing? And that's how this moment happened. You know what I mean? All those moments where people are just trying to fucking get home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get back to the wife and kids without committing a murder right now.
But she was honest to God, very nice.
I would have been like, you know how much Fireball Sazerac is selling?
Yeah, seriously.
Money's not a problem.
Nope. Oh, now he froze.
Oh boy. The grid is going down, man.
Yep. It is.
My Wi-Fi go up?
You're good now.
We should give it a rating before we all fucking lose our internet.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Oh, Christ almighty. That was it.
It's not good?
No, you're good now.
Okay.
Well.
Oh, fuck, man. Oh, gee. I said we needed to get the rating in. Fuck.
Okay, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
So my Ring doorbell just said it's now using cellular backup. I don't know if you guys have Ring, but when your Wi-Fi goes out, your Ring is the first thing to update you.
Yeah.
So I'm on LTE.
Okay.
All right.
We don't give a shit. Let's just fucking rate, okay?
Steven, you go first.
Let's spend the last few minutes on the Titanic talking about how we feel really good about this vacation or something. Oh, you guys know how whenever sometimes you'll be walking on the floor and you're like, I know there's water because my socks got wet and now I gotta fucking deal with that. That's what just happened back here in room 307. We're going down. You know.
Yeah.
All right, let's fucking rate. Steven, you go first, brother.
I'm going to be giving this an 8.0, right on the dot.
Holy shit.
I really think it's solid. I really want to speak to how good of a value I think it is at this price. And I want to speak of how good of, how much I prefer it, I guess I should say, to Jim Beam White Label at the 5.0. I just think it's, like I said earlier, it's so much more you can do, so much more you can get if you're willing to spend a little bit more. And I think it's, I can't give it a 15, but I think it's about 3 times as good. If you graphed out all the stuff we score, I think you'll just see it speaks to how good of a value I think it is. And I'll just leave it at that. It's just, like I said, the perfect balance. I really wouldn't change anything else about it. I think it's exactly what it should be. And 8 to me at this price point is basically a 10. You know what I mean? This is about as high as I can give it without it being some super interesting note or something that really carried it, which you'll find in some of the other offerings. So yeah, 8.0.
All right.
Yeah, I feel like you and I have been on the same wavelength this whole time, because I was going to give it an 8, but I'm like, maybe that's too high. What I don't think it is. Why do people like McDonald's? it's about consistency across the board. I feel like this whole brand is just consistent. The bottle's cool. I mean, I like the logo. The cork is probably one of the best in the industry. I mean, for people who don't see, I mean, it's cool. It's real wood. It's not artificial like a lot of these companies are doing and cheaping out and all that. It's good. I can't say more about it. It's just consistent. It's probably the most consistent thing I've drank. The proof is right where it should be. It bats up. It's a good finish, but it's not going to kill you like someone punched you right in the chest. You could sip on it. It's almost got that refreshing aspect. It leaves you wanting more. Like my mouth just salivates wanting more. I know that sounds weird, but that's what it does. So yeah, 8.0. I think that's a great score.
Wow. Well, I'm not drinking the standard small batch tonight. But I'm gonna give my like rating for what a standard small batch is as opposed to the barrel pick, because it's not fair to give a rating to a barrel pick. I don't think. I don't think I can go as high as an 8. I think that I feel the same way that both of you do, but I don't think that it compares with other 8s. Right? Like to me, this isn't 2 points away from being the perfect bourbon. That's the only reason why I'm giving it a lower score. But I do think that I feel the same way. It's just a different path to get there. But I'm going to give it a 7.3, which is still a huge off the charts. Like, that's still a huge score. But yeah, I just think it's further away from being a 10.0 than 2 points. I will say that when I'm talking to people, if they don't list this as being like one of their top 5 bourbons, like in that $30 to $40 price range, I do not trust another thing that they say. It's a home run every single time. You can make mixed drinks with it without being concerned. You can drink it neat and be really happy that you're drinking it neat. I do think I agree with you guys completely that it's the perfect proof. I think it's the perfect price. It's easy to find. It's a fucking home run. But I
just like our podcast.
Just like our podcast.
and the Chicago Bears.
And look at this production quality. This is why it's pitch perfect. You wouldn't change anything about this production.
Not a thing. Not a thing.
Is it? I just want to ask. Yes or no? Is this the best? At $30, is this the best bourbon? If you have $30 to spend on bourbon, is this the best thing you can buy?
That or Early Times, bottled in bond. Those are the,
or 2 Mellocorns.
Or 2 Mellocorns. I could also see somebody leaning towards a Wild Turkey 101. But I think that it's honest to God, I think it's one of those 3. Based on your individual palate, it's either Early Times bottled in bond, Elijah Craig, or Wild Turkey 101.
Another bourbon show.
I stopped in on
Is
Tuesday.
this a podcast topic?
It could be.
If it's a good story, we should just save it for the podcast.
Or I could throw it in now, and you could quit being a lazy ass and put it in.
Harsh words for a guy who has like a fucking month off work every year.
Yeah.
All right, let's record, you sons of bitches. We're getting the sons of bitches out early tonight, so.
Oh yeah, they'll be all used up. There won't be any more after that, I'm sure.
Nope, not a single one more.
Front-loaded abuse.